Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's November 2020 QB Talks, App Neighborhood Watch, with our surveillance by Murph and our citizen liaison, Kelly G. My name is Emily Hedrick, and I'll be your webinar host. If you have any questions during the session, please enter them in the Q&A box, and we'll try to address them. Everyone that has registered will receive a follow-up email with the handout and recording later today. Although most know him, let me introduce William Bill Murphy, better known as Murph, our senior editor at Insightful Accountant. Murph is an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor with over 30 years of consulting experience. He is a 3-time consecutive winner of the NAN Online MVP Award and was presented the Lifetime Achievement Award at Scaling New Heights in 2018. Murph has published over 4,000 articles in numerous industry publications and blogs, and has served as technical editor for business analysis with QuickBooks by Wiley Publishing. Murph, you can take it away when you're ready.
All right. Let me share my screen, and you should be seeing a screen of our citizen liaison, my co-host, Kelly Gonzalez, Kelly G. And she's the founder and chief visionary of Totally Booked in New York. You can strike through the city. I guess I need to do that. She's an advanced certified QuickBooks Online Pro advisor. She's Insightful Accountant's 2019 up and coming QuickBooks Pro advisor and a member of the top 100 for 2019 and 2020. She's a member of Intuit's Trainer Writer Network and HubDoc's top 50 cloud accountants in the US and Canada. And Kelly is going to be chatting with me today about this series of apps. And so, Kelly, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it. No, I've got to talk about Landy. So, we couldn't get through QB Talks if we didn't talk about Landy Insurance. The Herbert H. Landy Insurance Agency that almost every pro advisor simply knows as Landy is one of our regular QB Talk sponsors. And in fact, they are our 2020 sponsor of QB Talks. They've been one of our sponsors since the very beginning. And, they've really helped us out here at Insightful Accountant for many years. They were part of our Pro Advisor of the Year sponsors. And the folks at Landy really are geared up to help you with your professional insurance needs. Now, they're a family-owned and operated business. They've been in business for 70 years, and they can provide you with whatever you need in the way of professional coverage, whether it's professional liability or errors or omissions or privacy breach, cybercrime coverage, business officers liability, workers' comp, any other kind of coverage you need. You can talk to the folks at Landy. Now's the time when so many people are having to renew their coverages. And if you need a competitive quote of the coverages you've got, or if you're looking for new coverage, or if you're starting afresh and don't think you need coverage, I'm telling you, you do, then the easy way to get a hold of these folks is simply answer yes to the poll that Emily's opened. Just say yes, and you'll hear from Landy. If you say, no, not at this time, then don't worry, they're not going to bug you. But if you don't have coverage, you need it. And again, like I said, if you want a competitive quote, these are the folks that can get you the most for your money.
I'd also like to add that right now, with everyone working remote, insurance has become a really big deal, especially cyber, which I know they offer.
Oh yeah, that's cyber coverage. I saw where there were 7 times as many cyber events this year already as there were all of last year. And they're predicting that there's no reason why it's going to decline
Mm-hmm.
2021. So, Emily, you might go ahead and close that poll when we get up to 85% participation.
Okay, I'll give you guys just a few more seconds and I'll go ahead and close it.
Said, before I toss this back over to my co-host, I'm going to say that I developed this list of new apps from various new sponsors at this year's Scaling New Heights. I figured if they were new to that show and there were going to be fewer than 300 attending live and about the same number virtual out there, that there probably were a lot of people in the ProAdvisor community who were not even aware of these apps. Now, from my pre-conference research, I realized that these are some great apps, but I wasn't able to find out everything I wanted to do. So I asked Kelly to do some rooting out of these apps while she was attending Scaling New Heights last week. That's why we're going to have more of a chat about these apps than the typical kind of presentation where Kelly does her rapid fire through a series of apps. So I'll be kind of tossing out each of the apps, and then we'll be just chatting back and forth about each of them today. And so I'm going to actually kind of turn things over and let her share her screen. We've got the same screens, but I'm just going to let her do that. I'm going to stop sharing and let her start sharing.
Okay, so please be forgiving. I will be sharing my whole screen so that you guys can kind of see everything that I have open here. So we do have the list of apps, and I was lucky enough to visit these guys in person because I attended Scaling Heights in person last week. And I have to say that everyone did a really great job of social distancing and keeping everything clean. But it was really nice to connect with people and actually take a look at what they were offering, in this case apps, as well as some attendees, but mostly apps. So I guess, Murph, what we discussed is we'll just go through them kind of one by one and go over, here we are, each one from there. So first one up is iComplete. And Murph, you and I spoke this morning, and this one we were actually pretty excited about because it allows you to automate your entire AP process. But what we thought about this one particularly being really cool was you can actually automate the before part, not just the after part. So it's not just collecting receipts or bills that have to be paid. They're actually allowing you to purchase, or I guess enabling you to purchase online. So I pulled up their website so everyone could see it. And at the very beginning, I did like what they noted here was accounts payable and purchasing automation for 100% remote working. And I'd say that that's something that we've all become kind of accustomed to, whether we like it or not. But then I scrolled down, and they do have just a little bit about what they do, right? The one thing that I thought was really cool that stood out was the reduced cost. So they can leverage your data to see what you're purchasing and then show you savings on what you already purchased. So it's kind of like comparison shopping. They're doing some of that work for you. And I know in small businesses, that can be a huge money saver, but also just a huge benefit. So as the accountant or bookkeeper, working with, let's say, that business owner, especially right now, saving money is a really big deal. I mean, Murph, do you want to throw anything in there? But I think, to me, that was my favorite.
Yeah, it's kind of like receipt bank meets purchasing agent.
Yeah.
I mean, it provides the same kind of functionality as go out and get all your receipts and other AP and bring them into your accounting solution. And it does work with, some of those other accounting solutions as well as QuickBooks. But it then has this buying functionality. And not only does it just, give you the ability to buy through Amazon Business, but they do a lot of the research for you and they give you guidance in the form of really a cost reduced catalog, so to speak. It's like you're getting the best pricing possible on all this stuff. And so it's like you've got this buyer or this purchasing agent who's gone out and done all this work and found all the best prices just for you. And I thought, wow, these people have really created a unique model in that they didn't just decide to expand their AP import or receipts business. They went to the opposite of extremes. So they're kind of like, we're going to help get rid of the middleman. We're just going to work both ends of the equation. And it really is an entirely different approach to an app in that they're doing a lot for you. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think right now the value add is huge. So being able to cut out, a step, and unfortunately, a lot of people are working on their own now, let's say before they had a staff or they had someone in their office. So being able to kind of cut out a step and have it do some of that automatically, but then also take it one step further that it'll do some of that shopping for you. I mean, I can't even tell you how many hours sometimes I spend on trying to find the lowest price on something. So much so that I'm not going to share, but I will try and find a deal anytime that I'm purchasing something. So this to me is pretty genius.
Better hope that, these people don't decide that they're going to expand to general merchandise, or there's going to be a lot of people who end up in trouble because a lot of people will be using it to buy who knows that or the other.
I wouldn't mind.
I'm not seeing, I'm not sure I've ever seen a mouse cursor that changes from a
Yes, so it's a pilgrim hat and then it's a turkey when it's ready to click on something because Thanksgiving is coming.
That's pretty unique, folks.
It's free and it's an app. Here it is. It's this little thing, custom cursor. It works only in Chrome in case anybody wants it. I have Harry Potter wands. For Halloween, I had a pumpkin.
That's a whole nother app right there.
Yeah, that's a whole other app. So is there anything else that you wanted me to highlight kind of on here? I do like that they have resources for you. So there's a guide to download. I gotta say, I kind of hope that they, expand past just Amazon Business. I'd love to see them comparison shop a couple of websites for me when I'm ready to buy something.
Yeah.
Think about it, it's like the purchasing agent. It's their job, right? Like kind of, not fully, I will say, because there's a lot more that goes into purchasing, but it is helpful if you're operating on your own, for sure. And let's see this last slide.
I wonder if they could help me search for you know,
What are you searching for, Murph?
oh, well, here, I'm goofing up my, this, I'm starting to look for, crematories and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no. That's just gonna make people sad, Murph. I will say, so one thing to highlight here, and we're gonna give this to you again later on, but it's complete is spelled differently. So just take note, it's COMPLEAT, software.com. And then it'll bring you into the US version automatically.
Imagine that had to do with some kind of trying to stay away from
I don't want to know where complete software brings you. I'm scared to open the regular one, but definitely.
stay
Oh,
away.
like you're gonna eat turkey. EAT. Eat complete. There we go. That's a way to remember it. This is how my brain works, guys. And next up, another food related name that I'm now embracing, Plate IQ. So I did get to speak to Plate IQ. I met with them at Scaling New Heights last week. And one thing that I want to highlight is that they have expanded beyond restaurants. So Gary DeHart and I actually met with them. And you wouldn't really know it from just their marketing materials, so to speak. So I guess it's really more that they're moving in that direction. But if you look on here, it is simplify and automate your accounts payable. So they have actually moved away from just restaurants, although they do still have a lot of expertise in the area. They, receipt capture in a restaurant situation, I would say when a shipment comes in and you have a packing slip or something that has to be uploaded, that's kind of where they started going, because they do individual line items, which can be really important for a restaurant to get that margin to see, how profitable they are. But in more recent, I guess, development, they've moved away from just restaurants. So they did want to make sure that I knew that, and they wanted me to let everyone else know that. So in here, you can see that they've moved away from just that. Construction, also really important for that individual line item breakdown. So basically anyone that's needing individual line items, this is going to be a big deal for them.
Yeah. It's really interesting that years ago, you couldn't find an app that knew anything about the restaurant or hospitality industry. People just had no idea how it worked, and they didn't understand the importance of being able to actually look at individual food costs and how individual food costs could significantly impact the overall operating overhead. And I tried to explain to somebody one time, I said, do you realize that about 3 employees that go to the kitchen after hours can eat you out of just simply, in just a couple of nights, because all they have to do is go back there and cook themselves 2 or 3 filet mignons, and
Ooh.
You just don't understand the impact of what individual food items can do to your overall bottom line. And
It's true.
so the ability to track those items in detail just was almost impossible. And most people, what they were doing was taking their point of sale data. We even did it in QuickBooks desktop and online at first. Was we'd set up, the old receipt function so that they could take the Z out at the end of the night and plug in the gross Z out to capture
Yeah.
your nightly figures. and get it into their accounting. But that did nothing to actually examine what was happening on an item by item basis. And of course, then the initial apps that started coming in and being built to transfer that data was doing it the same way. It was only finally when people listened to the fact that, hey, we need to be able to plug item level data into QuickBooks that they started building these apps. And now that they've realized, well, okay, here's one that we can take this data and not only look at it from what's coming in by the AP and get it down to the item level data, but we can then, plug it into QuickBooks. And we're going to look at another one in a little bit that works the other way in that it takes your POS data and gets it down exactly the same way. And
Yeah, it's so important.
and and the fact that these people have gone from restaurant into other functionality, like construction, where it's so important to be able to capture those item level detail because you're many times billing item cost plus. So
Yeah, spend management, insights, pay bills. So the other side of it too is what profitability. So, are your margins high enough? Especially in a restaurant. I mean, that's right now, oh my gosh, restaurants are going through such a hard time. So being able to keep costs down and really analyze these numbers are so important. I mean, I worked in a restaurant for a long time. It was always kind of my side hustle. And I have to say that you're absolutely right. If you're gonna have a meal, even if they do your employee discount, your after hours meal, whatever it is, people tend to pick the more expensive items. So what happens when you discount that filet mignon or, whatever, God knows, whatever the expensive wine and whatever else is on the list or on the menu, I should say, it makes a huge difference when you can start to see those numbers and really understand them. A lot of people get into the restaurant business because they like to cook, or maybe they were a cook or they were a chef for someone else's restaurant. But the business running side of it is so difficult, like probably beyond what you could ever imagine. Managing people, managing numbers. So having something that's going to make it a little easier for them, I think, is a game changer.
well, and two, you get a lot of mid-level management in restaurants that
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to make friends with all of their wait staff, and so
Yeah,
giving away stuff right and left, and then the boss comes in and goes, "What happened to all my profit?"
right. Absolutely. People are friends, and you're right. Middle management wants to, make sure. But I also think that even the smaller places, let's say they don't have middle management, they have the owner who, his friends are coming out to support him or her, and they're giving away comped meals or comped glasses of wine or whatever it is to have people, keep them coming back. It can be really detrimental. So it's a big deal, and a lot of times they just don't even realize it. And they think they're, promoting their business. I mean, that applies to any business if we're being honest. We're always told not to give things away for free, never do discounts, up the value or lower the value based on what the pricing is, but to never actually just give stuff away because it changes the perception. So I met the guys at Every, and it's Every. And I want to tell you what it stands for because I thought it was really cool. And so sorry, my dog is walking on my keyboard, so she just changed the slide. But so Every is explaining the value between the employer and employee, which I thought was so cool. And they said that one thing about them, about their name, is that really only accountants and bookkeepers appreciate it. I was hoping that they would have the explanation on their website, but I don't see it. But yeah, they said it's the value between employers and employees. So they have some really cool features. And I will say that just gauging everyone's reaction at scaling, they were having a little bit of a hard time kind of understanding how it worked. But one of the cool things for the employee side was the flexible payday choices. So they said they have companies where they run payroll, let's say weekly, bi-weekly, whatever they decide. And their employees choose instead if they want to get paid every day, once a week, once a month. The money is still taken out of the account. The cash still leaves your checking account. It calculates out all the taxes, but they have this holding account on their side where they can distribute money to the employees on a daily basis. It's kind of like a forced savings plan if you're an employee, which I thought was a really cool feature to be able to offer your employees. Did you catch that one, Murph?
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Uh, I think one of the most interesting things to me is that for years and years and years, what we had was two choices when it came to QuickBooks and payroll. We had QuickBooks payroll and we had nothing else.
Yeah.
And now we have, QuickBooks payroll and choice after choice after choice. And uh, a lot of them, they plug into QuickBooks Online, and a lot of them even plug into QuickBooks Desktop. And
Sure.
The fact is that we've got so many of these payroll programs that not only offer payroll, but they offer all of the other related functionalities, and these people do too.
Mm-hmm.
Our support. Uh, I was listening to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about the fact that the average person who manages HR, even in a small business, gets paid $75,000 a year in salary to manage
Oh yeah.
HR for even a small business. And I'm going, how many small businesses can afford an HR manager at $75,000? Uh, I don't know many that can do that, but
I can't.
got an app that can uh, do your HR for you and handle that and make sure that you remain compliant. That that's super. And the fact that it works with your payroll and watches all of that stuff to make sure that you're staying on top of the dates and you're staying on top of uh, anniversaries and you're staying on
Mm-hmm.
and
Or even compliance.
you
So
know
I have clients ask me HR questions all the time, and I'm happy to refer them out to an HR, system, because I am in no way an HR expert.
well, long, 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 long. Uh, Subscribe to one of those things that you got every week update that came on Monday mornings. They'd written it and they sent it out and mailed it, and it was all the new HR stuff from the week before to keep you always up to date as to what the most current HR rulings and legislation and this, that, and the other was. And you'd spend 2 days reading it. And then by the time you got it filed in the book, it was out of date. And here came the next one. And if you thought you could answer questions about it, well, no, all you could do, you'd have to go to the index. And now you've got these things. And you literally just can search. But folks,
Mm-hmm.
you can get it off of Google. You really can't because it doesn't stay up to date. And so that's why these things are so important. And again, like I said, if you can have one that it's all in one package, your payroll and HR and all of that together, benefits management, etc., And the fact that these people offer you the ability to tell your employees, oh, you can get paid as often as you want. You can get paid daily every day if you want to, or you can get paid twice a week, or you can get paid every Friday, or you can get,
Mm-hmm.
every Monday because you'll blow your check on Friday if you get a check on Friday. Wow.
Agreed. Agreed. And I mean, it doesn't affect the employer. It doesn't affect us and our journal entries. It's really up to the employee. When they're setting up their profile, they can set it up however they like, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then obviously it integrates with QuickBooks Online, which is always the added bonus. And you can tell it how often you want it to sync over. You can do it right after you run payroll, the journal entry will come in. And they have their different plans that you can choose from. Same day pay for contractors. Oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah, they do contractor pay. So you can set up your 1099 contractors in here as well, which it seems that most payroll companies, most payroll offerings are actually moving in that direction now, where it's part of the payroll service. But it does make it a lot easier for the business owner. I know business owners have requested it of us to keep it all in one place for them. Okay, so next up is Shogo. Oh, here we go. So
Yes,
go
I
ahead.
want to say Shogun, but I don't know what the deal is. But this is the one that I was talking about earlier about that will incorporate your point of sale or your,
Mhm.
uh, and if you think about it, it hasn't been that long ago. I can tell you that because I used to do a lot of this. I was one of the very first implementers for a company, the biggest that used to or that does e-commerce with, uh, and it wasn't that long ago that they were one of the very first really big solutions that came out, and of course it was a desktop solution at first, and then it was desktop to the cloud, and then it was
Mhm.
to the cloud, and then it was cloud to the desktop, etc. But I mean, you know, there still are not a tremendous amount of these that are what I call broadband. There are a lot of these solutions that are one-to-one.
Mhm.
Take one e-commerce and plug it in, and that's all it runs. It's an app for one-to-one. But
Right.
but that do all of these different ones, there aren't that many. And so here's another one that you can take all these different e-commerce solutions or point of sale systems.
Or
Uh,
merchant processing, like Heartland is a credit card processor.
yeah, and it it just links all of that together and ties it back to your QuickBooks Online, or yeah, you'll see several other accounting solutions. And it has the ability to allow you to map the data the way you want it. And it gives you kind of a streamlining. Now, this one's designed so that really you wake up the next morning and it's all in there. It's kind of the way they profess it to be. Just overnight, magically, all
Mhm.
stuff is in there, and that's great. But I know that a lot of people uh, they're always working 24 hours a day, so they want their orders in there a lot more often than that. But
Well, with most of these, and I'm sure this is no different, you can sync, you can force sync.
yeah,
So you can do it sooner.
this, I believe, even has the ability to schedule how often you want syncs to occur automatically. So I think they just routinely say that a lot of people schedule a one-day sync. But
Yeah, the auto magically part comes in at like 3 in the morning before you start your next day.
anyway,
And
see them?
I did not actually. So they were a sponsor of scaling, but in a somewhat silent way. They didn't have a booth set up for in person, but there was like a promotion towards the end where they were giving away t-shirts through Woodard. So if you turned in your badge, you got a Shogo t-shirt, and you could always schedule a demo online. So I think they took a different route by way of promotion.
Well, they really made it easy because I actually did a test of their product. I still have a test e-commerce site from when I used to do so much, and I did a little test. And I mean, it took me less than about 15 minutes to actually link up, to set everything the way that I wanted it to come in and to link it up. And it just linked up and came in like mad. So, I mean, it worked well. I just was really very impressed by my group.
I agree. I like that you have the option of point of sale and e-commerce. So a lot of people struggle with keeping inventory on point, because if you sell it, let's say in the store, you want to make sure that you don't also then sell it online. Or let's say you go to a trade show and you're selling and you now taking this thing out of inventory, you want it to update everywhere. And I could see that being the point of syncing faster to record that sale so that it pulls from whichever inventory system you're using, just to give you that full picture. But they do have a lot of options. Obviously, they have a lot of partners.
You may have your POS for your store, and you may have your e-commerce, for your online, and you may have them both, and you want them both tied into together. So,
Yeah,
that's a great way to do it.
absolutely. And you don't have that disappointing the customer over sales situation, which is nice. So next up, we have Tally Street, not to be confused with Tally, because at first I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Tally Street, I actually thought they were pretty cool. So I did get to speak to them in person, and I did a demo, and I'm hoping they have some pictures here that I can show you guys. But basically, it connects to the data in your system, and so they agreed with me when I said that it is very important that everything is clean and set up correctly and linked to the right places. But it goes in basically to your accounting system in this case. You can also connect it to, let's say, your CRM. You have some options of pulling data from different places. And then it will give you these really cool reports. So this one I thought was actually very cool. So it pulls up the history of your customers, let's say for the past year, and it shows you, who paid late, who's hibernating, right? So I thought this was really cool because it's telling you that some people might need attention. They've purchased in the past, but maybe now they need a nudge. Maybe you should reach out, former champions who haven't purchased recently. So it kind of gives you the data to reach out and, up your sales essentially. Also, it might be that you don't want to reach out to certain people because they always give you a hard time, and maybe you don't want to, go down that road again. But when it comes to the business owner, this is some really good data to have.
Yeah, I looked at it. I didn't run a test, but it made sense to me that it was an easy way to identify your best and your worst, and to really clarify, um, well, is a customer really worth the hassle? Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have customers that you wonder, uh, hmm, is the amount of business that I get out of them worth the hassle of, uh, you know, um, dealing with a 120-day or 180-day collection period?
Right.
A lot of business with us, but my gosh, it just is like pulling eye teeth to get the, and it's nice to have that revenue, but if it takes me 6 months to get it, uh, I might just be better off not having him as a customer. So
Agreed. Another, I guess, highlight, and we know that advisory is a really big word in the industry right now. It's a big deal. It does put you in the space to start with some very light advisory services. Just plugging in that data and being able to pull up these reports is very nice, but they're also custom branded. So this little trusted advisor logo goes away and your logo goes in there, and then their company name, meaning the client's company name, will show up in here. So it's very nice that you can give them these custom reports. It will say that it's powered by Tally, which is not really a big deal, to be honest. I don't see it being an issue with a lot of clients. But yeah, you can plug it right in and be able to give them these custom reports and insights into their business that they probably didn't have before. They probably weren't even paying attention to these things before. Like you said, the biggest customer is great, but if they take 6 months to pay, that can really kill cash flow. You put out this product, you've invested time and money in it, and now you're not going to see a return for another 3 or 4 months. It's hard.
I've got one now. I love him to death, but
I
I'm gonna
hope he's not listening.
have to send Guido after him.
You sound like you're from New York. So tallystreet.com. And I'm gonna pull up the next one. Orchard Connect. And let's open their website. So another data entry automation tool. I feel like some of these are repetitive in the way that we maybe introduce them, but it's helping with your payments and accounting integration. So I like that they're little, so this is how I explain everything in my life. All of the things connect to QuickBooks, and that's the most important part. But there are a few apps out there that connect Stripe and Square. I will say that their systems will speak on a more, they're claiming on a deeper level, syncing all of your data over. I don't know if they answer it just the way your accountant would, but I like the sentiment that they're trying to match to the client. Match to the accountant. But yeah, it's the transactional level of what was charged, let's say, through Square, Stripe, whatever it might be. So Square, you can set up subscriptions. There are fees that you have to worry about. I know this from working in e-commerce. You have the actual income that came in, any of the fees, anything else that might have been taken from that payment before it's then put into that payout, which is usually multiple transactions. So it's very difficult to match, let's say, to the bank feed if you don't have a journal entry that's doing all of that work for you. So they're doing it on a daily basis with one single sales receipt, which is my preferred way of doing it. And I know it's a lot of people's preferred ways of doing it. But just having that one transaction that gives you all of the data that you need is, I think, great. Did you get to take a look at this one, Mer?
I didn't. I did not try it out. Again, what made sense to me though is that we've got a lot of these tools, and Some of them are individual, some of them are multi, in that they handle more than one product. And I know what a lot of people think. They say, well, QuickBooks just started offering that built within, or now we can do that without having to have an app, or there's an app that's available that doesn't cost me anything. Why would I do this? And folks, what it really boils down to is what works best for you and your accountant or advisor. What is going to actually get the data in the way you all want it, the way you all need it. And that's, I think, why all these different ones have been built, is because people say, I want it this way, I want it that way. I can't get it this way. So I wished it would get this way. And somebody says, oh, well, I'll build an app that does it that way. You know, these people, their little logo is, well, we don't just stick it into QBO, we stick it in the way that your accountant would, or in other words, the way your accountant wants it. Well, what they really mean is the way that somebody's accountant wanted it. And it might not be your accountant, might have been,
Right.
but it might be your accountant or your advisor. So this might be the perfect solution. It might not be, but still, what we're trying to do is give you choices.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that's probably the most important part when it comes to all of these apps. I have done a lot of research in automating, I wouldn't call it AP in this case, but automating the transactions in from e-commerce sites. And I mean, personally, I still use Synder and I love it. And we did a review of it in the last QB Talks, and it's SYNDER. It does a great job of pulling in transactions. I will say it doesn't have expense capture as an option. So that is a very nice feature that they're offering, expense caption. And
And of course, Cinder was one of our Pro Advisor of the Year sponsors. Thank you, Cinder.
yes, nice little, I mean, I personally do actually use them and like them, so that's why I mentioned them. But yeah, I would say Orchard Connect is a little different. So it's really just a matter of finding your preference. Which one is going to pull in that journal entry the way you want? Maybe you don't want it to be a journal entry. You'd rather it be a sales receipt. Maybe you want it to be every one of them and not just a single one at the end of the day. So it's just a matter of preference. And you're right. It could be my accountant, your accountant. It could be me. It could be you. It could be a different CPA. Everyone's going to have a different preference.
And chances are by next quarter, when we do this again, there'll be at least 3 or 4 more of these kinds of things.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's the need for it is increasing, especially right now. I mean, online businesses are thriving. Okay, so next one up is, and I do think that I say this wrong, but Strar. How do you say it, Murph?
I thought it was Shatar. But
They say it all as one word, so Strar is what I'm gonna go with. They are based in New York. So shout out to Strar because they're in Brooklyn and I can see Brooklyn from where I'm sitting, which is pretty cool. But I did think that they actually had a pretty cool product. It is a B2B payment processing solution, but it was built on something that they had a need for. So it wasn't, they just kind of created an app. They actually had a business where they had to pay out commissions. And they said that sometimes it would be, hundreds of commissions that they were sending out. And so they would have their bookkeeper line up the commissions from inside their online banking. So let's say you go to Chase, you line up all these payments to be made, and then somebody at the managerial level would have to go in and approve them. Well, if they didn't get to it the same day, it would reset and they would have to start all over again the next day. And they said, this is not working. So this is actually something that was built out of frustration in a very great way. So one thing I will say, they don't make you sign up for their product. So if you are receiving the payment, you have the option of just entering in your routing number and account number. So there's no need to sign up for their service. They don't have like a network set up just yet of, going and finding people to pay them. But at the very basic level, their pricing actually was less than most of the people in their space, or most of the companies in their space. And sorry guys, my Slack is still open. So most of the companies that are doing it in this space, I found that they were offering something a little bit different. So they're calling it a virtual check, but essentially it's an ACH that once the payee has entered their information, it will pull from your bank account. Did you check this one out at all, Murph?
Yes, I thought that this was a very, very reasonable solution. And it was very simplistic. You just download that little plugin. And then, as you said, it gives you the ability to simply enter the info. Now, I know, again, people are going, well, wait a minute. We just got all these new solutions from QuickBooks Payments. Give us the ability to start doing this stuff. And what you're going to want to check out is which one is going to cost you the most in terms of what the load is. But, because none of them are actually free, folks. There's a load somewhere that you're paying. And, it does, though, also give you the ability to build in kind of a workflow. And so I thought this really was a pretty sharp little app. And
Yeah.
it has auto reconciliation in that once it processes through, it's tracking and it comes back and marks it as reconciled, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's just a pretty little streamlined app. And I know some people will say, well, I don't know about giving third parties control over my bank account, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a bonded, et cetera. And if you look, there's a lot of big companies that are using this. So.
Let's see, I just want to bring it up because, so these are the plans, and I have to say, I was shocked at how low the prices were. Obviously, we usually don't include pricing because they can change, but I am on their website. This is live. And this was the one that caught my eye, right? Or you can purchase them in bulk and it becomes even cheaper.
Yep.
So very impressed. And I will say, because they're so new, and I always love this about going to conferences, they are open to suggestions. So as you're using the product, they're welcoming feedback from accountants and bookkeepers to, help them build a better product, which I always find impressive. This is just so you guys have the websites. I'm sorry, Nina's commenting. Nina's my dog. So just so you have the websites, if you wanted to sign up, take a look. And I guess I'm going to pass it back over to you, Murph, so that I can take a look at the chat and see if anybody had any questions.
Well, actually, if you'll just click on to the next screen.
Sure.
Yeah. Folks, you'll be able to go out to the archives and get this, but as Emily said, you'll also get an email, and that'll have the link. And let me get over here.
It looks like there was an issue with.
That's
there you
all.
go.
Yeah, that's all right. ahead and go live.
There we go. Oh, I have your last slide. Do you want me to do you want me to share?
I'll let you take it over because for some reason my final slide has disappeared.
Here we go. And the final slide is about QB Talks in December. Take it away, Murph.
So hopefully everybody is seeing that. On December 16th, we'll have our next QB Talks. And what we're having is a roundtable discussion with our Pro Advisor of the Year and 4 or 5 other members of the top 10 categorical winners. And you won't miss it because what you'll get out of it is hopefully what it takes to get to the top. You'll find out a little about each of them and each of their practices and the amount of work they've had to do to reach the pinnacle, so to speak. And so I'm just going to ask you to be sure to join us on December 16th at 2 p.m. And I think it'll be a lovely pre-Christmas show. And with that, Emily, if you're there, I'm going to let you kind of take things back. Kelly, if you found any question you want to try to answer.
The only question that that was in the chat was about the cursor, about my pilgrim hat and turkey. So I sent that over so everyone has it.
Cursor.
And I'm so glad that you guys like it. Thank you.
We didn't have a lot of attendees today, folks, and unfortunately, we kind of were expecting that because we knew that Intuit snuck up at the last minute and chose to schedule their QuickBooks Connect. We've been scheduled for this date since the beginning of the year, and they changed. For some reason, QuickBooks Connect had been being on Thursdays, and they changed it at the last minute. But anyway, for the 35 of you who've been here today, I certainly appreciate you being here. And again, hope you'll join us next month on December the 16th when we have a roundtable with our Pro Advisor of the Year and at least a half dozen of our top 10 categorical winners. Until then, I want to thank Kelly for being here today and helping me get through this list of apps. And thank all of you for being here. And hope everybody has a great Turkey Day. Stay safe and stay away from COVID-19.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Murph, for joining me.
And thank you, Kelly and Murph, for being here and everyone for joining us. As Murph said, I will get the webinar recording and the handout to everyone here later today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We hope to see you next month. Have a good one.
You too.